tonight is the October 30th, 2023 Goffstown Select Board meeting. And if you could all please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got money.
Okay. This evening we have Selectman Adams, who is traveling, so at some point he might be calling in by phone if he's able to. So if that happens at that point in time, we'll stop and readjust, but for now he is not with us. So first up, we have the acceptance and corrections of minutes for the 10/23/23 public and non-public minutes.
Make a motion, we accept the 10/23/23 public and non-public minutes of the meeting with corrections if need be.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstain? Motion passes. For announcements this evening, we have tomorrow trick-or-treating. Trick-or-treating is currently scheduled for Tuesday, October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. in Goffstown. Residents that trick-or-treat should be careful as you walk about neighborhoods. Stay on sidewalks where available, use crosswalks, watch for motorists, phones down, heads up, be aware of your surroundings. Motorists should keep an eye out for residents trick-or-treating. And we hope to see all of you in front of Town Hall tomorrow night to get some candy. Should have some fun costumes out there. Does anyone else have any other announcements? Okay, Derek, do you want to start on the Town Administrator's report?
Sure, if you go to tab 5, you have your committee meeting scheduled for the next 2 weeks. On Wednesday this week at 6 p.m. Economic Development Council will be in this room.
Yeah, got it.
And 6:30 p.m. the library trustees will be meeting.
I'll be there.
On Thursday, the Budget Committee has deliberations on the school budget in the Goffstown High School Media Center.
Yep.
Next week, on Tuesday at 6 p.m., the Budget Committee again meets at Goffstown High School Library.
Yep.
On Tuesday at 6 p.m., the Village Pedestrian Bridge Ad Hoc Committee meets at the Parks and Rec Center. I will follow up with Selectman Adams on that to make sure he's able to cover that. On Thursday at 6 p.m., Budget Committee over at the high school. And then at 7 p.m. next week on Thursday, the Planning Board will be in this room, and that's also Selectman Adams, so I'll follow up with him on both of those.
Thank you.
Excuse me. At your next page, you have your consent agenda. You have employee status reports. You have 2 full-time police officers, new hires. You have a full-time police officer resignation. You have a DPW truck driver resignation. You have a PSNH pole license application on Daniel Plummer Road. You have rights to inter on West Lawn Expansion Cemetery, Section W1, lots 38 and 39. Shirley Hill Cemetery, Section 3, Lot 59. West Lawn Cemetery, Section 1993, Lot 10. And Shirley Hill Cemetery, Section 3, Lot 93. You have a Lynchville Danis Park water line betterment assessment. This is the second installment in the amount of $19,422.84. That's a warrant for the tax collector to collect. You have the second half property tax warrant in the amount of $27,289,286.47. You also have 3 payment in lieu of taxes totaling $42,000. This is the second installment for that. You have the 2024 weekly rates for employees' health insurance. That needs a signature of the entire board. And then 2 items added this afternoon. We have the permanent easement for crossing the rail trail for the trailer site plan on map 5, lot 49, as well as their relinquishment of rights in Buzzell Road. And we'll need to have those recorded.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented this evening.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded, excuse me, by Peter. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstain?
At tab 5C, you have a memo from the finance director and assistant town administrator. And I don't know if Danielle wants to add anything, but she did because they do a lot of the in-processing and interaction with employees, she has a recommendation for a change to our dental insurance.
Good evening, everyone. Hello. You may recall I came before you guys earlier in September, on September 11th actually, to review the available dental and medical plans that we were offering. At this time, I don't have any recommendations to change the medical plans. However, on the dental insurance, I do believe we could move to a better plan that would be more comprehensive and would better serve the needs of the employees. Across all groups, if we were to do the sidebars with all of the existing unions, as well as non-union, you're looking at a total impact of under $12,000. And this wouldn't even require us to change the budget, because if even one person that currently is a vacant position either doesn't get filled or opts out of the health insurance, we'd have more than enough in the existing insurance line to cover the entire cost of this plan.
And the $12,000 counts how much time? Is that
The whole year.
For the whole year?
The whole year. And as,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say, on the next page, you can actually see the plan side by side. The green one is the one that we have currently. The yellow one is the one we're recommending. And as you can see on the bottom, the cost of about $12,000, a little less actually, $11,789. That actually gains a benefit of $239,250 each year across all the employees who are currently enrolled.
Can you explain that?
Sure. Right now, the plan maxes out at $1,250 per person, whereas the new one would max out after $2,000. So it increases $750 of coverage per plan year across all the covered lives on the plan.
Okay, thank you.
What's the middle line?
That was another option. It's a little bit different. It's kind of in between the two, but for just a little bit more, you can see the bottom, the comparison in that kind of orange peach color. The cost of that would be about $7,500 and only gains about $79,000 in coverage, whereas the one I'm recommending is just slightly more and more than doubles, actually more than triples the benefit.
Yeah, I see the plan year maximum increasing a bit, and then the 2024 monthly rates. So is there any change to the employer share of those benefits?
No, it would still be the same 90% coverage. And then the other major change on these new plans is it would allow partial coverage for orthodontic care, but only for minors.
And it's at 50%.
50%, yeah. So that is the new benefit, but all the other things mirror what we have now. And the biggest one is the increase across the total plan. We've had people coming in saying, you know, if I have a crown or I have any sort of dental work beyond typical filling, I'm maxing right out of my plan and having to pay out of pocket. So we wanted to see, and when we talked with the Health Trust and they went through all the recommendations, they indicated almost nobody is on the plan that we're still on. They said it's an obsolete plan and almost nobody's elected it.
Well, this is effective 1/1.
1/1, so it would be during open enrollment. We would get all the information out there to the employees with the rate and what the new coverage is.
We'd just be asking if the board's in favor of this, just having a motion to move to the dental plan 1S. That's.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Pete, seconded by Jim. Any questions or comments? No good? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstain? Okay. Motion passes. Thank you for the information, Danielle.
Thank you.
On tab 5D, you have in the personnel plan a few years ago, we made the change that departments would bring their proposed holiday schedule to the board. After looking at what is done by both the federal government as well as the state government, the state now has 13 holidays, so they have 10 holidays where offices are closed, plus 3 floating holidays. There are 11 federal holidays, and recently the Library Board of Trustees approved a change to their holiday schedule to have 11 holidays plus 2 floating holidays. Danielle put together, talking with other department heads, a proposal to move from what we currently have as 10 holidays to 12 holidays, which is shown on the second page. Basically, we would pick up some of those additional days as well as the day after Thanksgiving. And rather than have departments come in with different department schedules, to go to one schedule throughout the town. And then because both Christmas and New Year's are on a weekday, we have a little item at the bottom as well to close early on those days as well.
So the only two additions are President's Day and Juneteenth?
Yes. And
the day after Thanksgiving was always there?
Yes.
yes, that one was, except for the 24/7. It differed a little bit, but yes, that one has been, at least by Town Hall, Parks and Recs for many years now.
That one's in the personnel plan.
Yep.
But wasn't day after Thanksgiving accepted but given up something else at the time?
Yes, it
Years
was
ago,
Civil
yeah.
Rights Day, probably about 20 years ago.
I haven't been here that long.
What's that?
I
Yeah.
think it's come up like almost every year they've asked, right? We've been.
We've,
we asked
yeah, I think
to
we've
approve it
asked
in
for
the
direction, but I
calendar
think
each year.
this would get a little bit more continuity, a little bit standardization across the different departments, as well as improve that benefit for our employees and kind of looking at what some similar.
So what's the state of New Hampshire has 10 holidays plus 3 floating. So what are our 12 holidays? What are we taking that the state of New Hampshire isn't?
So
Their
the
schedule's
state of New
set.
Hampshire recognizes both Juneteenth and Columbus Day, but they do not close offices on those days.
Oh, right, okay.
So on this spreadsheet, they're noted with an NA
I see.
in light
Yeah,
gray
thank you.
on the state column.
So Juneteenth would be a closed day?
Yes, that's what we're proposing here.
And Columbus Day.
And Columbus Day, yes.
And then I'm just trying to catch any of the differences. So is the goal to, when we negotiate CBAs, to update the holiday calendar accordingly? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we have 3 that are in negotiations right now.
And then is there any, so they have one floating holiday currently for police, dispatch, and DPW?
Yes.
Okay.
In their CBAs,
In
not
current-
on the
current, yeah.
non-union.
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed 2024 holiday schedule
I'll second.
as proposed tonight. And that's for 2024 to be reviewed again next year.
Yep.
Second Peter's motion.
So, can I just ask one, to make sure I'm clear? So we're voting to have 12 holidays and no floating holidays, right? Okay, like.
This is for non-union employees, yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And that does not include the library employees, the library board of trustees or their governing body.
Well, currently everyone has floating holidays except for town hall.
Yes.
Should we add a floating holiday?
No.
Why?
Why? We're already adding 2. You want to add a third?
Sure, if people wanna, it's something we can do that has minor impact. But looking if they each have one, the library has two, police, dispatch, and DPW currently have one.
I would say no, because at this point in time, I feel town hall's a little short-staffed, and if we take somebody out, we have to move people around, and it just becomes a logistical nightmare for them guys.
If you take a look at the library, they traded their,
They have,
they traded theirs for floaters.
yeah, they have, the floating days are for staff
Right.
development days, right?
Yes.
One of them is, yeah.
No? Oh, okay. Just kidding.
Theirs is on the
Anyways, there's a
spreadsheet.
motion on the floor, so we'll deal with that, and then after CBA negotiations, maybe we release it for everyone. So, any other questions? Jim, you have a question?
So,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstain? Motion passes.
Can we just pass public
And
comment?
we did. I apologize for that. Does anyone here wish to speak at public comment? We'll open it up for public comment. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Sorry about that. All right, I believe
Public Works?
Adam is up next. And we're on tab 4.
Good evening. Just a follow-up to an item I had a couple weeks back. As you probably remember, and I think as you saw, I sent emails to everybody. We were awarded our second New Hampshire the Beautiful grant this year. Normally it's just one per fiscal year, but they had encouraged us to apply again because we did have other equipment to purchase. We did, and we received news at their last board meeting, they approved us for another $5,000 grant. So as this was a second grant, it wasn't included in the original budget, so Derek had it on here under RSA 3195B for a vote for unanticipated revenue to accept and expend. We have not taken delivery yet of this new trailer. It's been ordered, but could be months. The grant's good for 6 months from their vote, so if we start to get close to that and we still don't have the new trailer, I'll have to ask them for an extension, but it's a reimbursement, so you could vote now, and then whenever the trailer comes in, we can send the paperwork to them and they'll send us the check.
Great. Thank you for applying for that again. Any questions?
Nope. Recommend the board accept the 5,000 grant from New Hampshire the Beautiful and expend these funds toward the purchase of the 2023 live floor trailer in accordance with RSA 31:B-5.
Second.
That trailer was already on the program, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Motion by Peter, seconded by Jim. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed, abstain? Okay. Great, thank you.
Thank you, I'll keep you posted.
Okay. Now we are on to 2024 budget. We're at tab 6 here. Derek,
So there's nothing in your packet. I did send out to board members last week. You had requested to see the budget broken down by different categories. So I sent that out last week, and you have a printed copy. And then I know that Vice Chairman Georgianis also requests to see about tax impact and projected, so you also have that as well. Now that you set the tax rate last week for 2023, we have that there, and then what we're projecting for a projected tax rate where the department head budget currently is.
thank you for putting this together. This is kind of what I wanted to see, as we know generally what our biggest cost drivers are in the budget, but just seeing it year over year I think is helpful. Does anyone have any questions for Derek on the overall?
Where's that paper?
It was on the table.
Buried it someplace.
I think it maybe under the,
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's right.
Time of year for lots of paper. Derek, could you go through on the general fund handout that you gave us,
Yes.
the overlay determined by the tax rate? Why is there a significant drop in that?
We usually, when we're doing the actual setting of the budget, we usually estimate that it's going to be around $10,000. That number fluctuates quite a bit because it's really the last piece that goes in, and DRA has a lot of say in that, and it really is the rounding of pennies when you're getting to the tax rate amount for the taxes that need to be collected. So we typically put only $10,000 during budget season, but then it may be a little bit lower or higher.
Thank you.
So with the current budget the way it is, you're looking at, and it's a guesstimate, I'm sure, at another $1.60, another $1.16.
Yes, because that's based off of, so the estimated general fund revenues, Danielle did adjust that last week after speaking with DRA on what we actually got this year, so that went up slightly, and so that's a number that tends to change as we go through the year. But yes, right now with what is in the department head level, which again does not include Main Street or Crispin House, and we only have $1 placeholders for the 3 CBAs that are under negotiations for the total appropriation there. So yes, that would be a projected tax rate. We did not project an increase. Quite honestly, a 0.5% or 1% increase in value would only change it by a few pennies one way or the other. So we haven't done that.
And doesn't include PayPoint.
Correct, it does not. It does include the non-union matrix adjustment and non-union steps. So once we do get the final report, I think you'll have some recommendations from department heads on how we may be able to implement under the current proposed budget.
So repeat that now. It does include,
So in the budget, because we did not have the compensation analysis from PayPoint yet, we did include a matrix adjustment for
okay,
non-union
just
employees.
the normal,
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and steps for those that are eligible.
yeah.
I mean, I personally am comfortable moving this forward to the budget committee because those 4 variables are going to impact the budget in one way or another. So if we,
I don't understand what you're saying. You want to put this budget to the budget committee?
because we don't have those 4 things yet, so I don't know that we can move much or anything without that information to see how much it's going to impact everything.
So if we move this to the budget committee, that's saying we're approving this.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Okay. What do you want to look at?
I just, $1.16 already, plus contracts. It could be another $2 next year too. No, I mean, let them have a shot at it. That's how you want to do it.
Derek, I did have one thing for the 2023 budget, on the pie chart that you gave us, the hardware, software number, the percentage number was cut off.
Oh, I apologize.
Could you tell me
about
what that is?
Yeah, let me pull that up.
What page you on, Kelly?
It's the
2023.
pie chart, the 2023.
The third page is,
So is it, I just want to make sure, because I know I had to shrink down that. Okay, so in 2023, when we sort by category, the hardware, software, let's see, it was $202,002.
I'm sorry, 200?
$202,002, so 202,002.
Yep.
And that accounted for 0.81% in that year, or in this year.
So that number went down compared to this year?
No, it went up from 2022, and then it still goes up a bit in 2024, but the percentage
Just the
shrinks.
percentage.
Yes, the
Okay.
percentage shrinks because of the
Thank you.
overall budget.
I see,
And then I'm assuming on the 2023, this other 20,000, that's warrant articles? for-
Yes, that's what
Crispin.
it's both Crispin and Main Street in those years.
And we haven't received any requests for them yet?
I had told them that it would be appropriate for them to come in November and present to you,
Okay.
so I will check with their schedules, and most likely it'll be on November 13th to come and present to you.
it's usually about $20,000 altogether, right? Something like that.
If both of those, yeah, they,
Right, so, okay.
But Main Street didn't request anything this current year.
They did not for 2023.
Right.
With talking with their director, I do anticipate they will be in, when we spoke earlier in the year.
so Pete, I'm definitely open to having those conversations.
Well, I mean, we can let the budget committee go through line by line and make cuts and stuff, or we just make a general saying, we need to cut 1% or something out of this budget and give the department heads to decide to where to do it, or we can go and do it. I mean, it's another tough pill to swallow.
Yeah,
And when you start adding the contracts, and it could be another 50 cents.
well, the reason I wanted to look at it like this is so that we can see the overall increase of utilities in, all these different categories. So when I'm looking at this, I don't see anything huge overarching that's, making a big, it's just general cost increases. From my perspective, for, the things that are hitting us the most are kind of those categories.
And you have to look at things like capital expenses, and that's where you would have to, operating costs. You're not much you're gonna do with personnel.
Right.
If I understand what Derek said, is that this is, the personnel is what's either contracted or in the matrix.
Yep.
Am I correct?
Yes.
So, do you want to take a look through CIP before we send it off? Do that.
Ken? I don't know, that's just me. I don't know what everybody else thinks.
All right. Okay. So on our first page for 2024 proposed, we have our vehicles for police, the cruiser replacement, for the scheduled replacements. And for fire, we have the $250,000 for the CRF.
That has normally come out of capital, out of the fund balance, but it doesn't look like we have fund balance to use this year. Would that be correct?
Right now,
No.
correct. That is
Yeah,
correct.
not right now.
We don't want to stop that.
Would you say you don't want to stop that?
No, I'd rather not stop that.
No. So on the second page, we have Public Works vehicles. And DPW has a higher number, but looking at the years over years for the vehicle replacement, I'm not quite sure there's much room for movement. Adam, any chance any of these are coming off?
Yeah, I'm thinking now that we started doing this, your idea of giving a percentage to all department heads and let them make their choices. They know better than us what they
Well,
really
that's what I'm
need.
saying. We can sit here and ask them each and every line we want to go through, or we just say, hey, can you find a percent, or, you know.
That's what, yeah, and at least I would feel better if it was me that, I can choose what I can get by with and what I can't.
And we can sit here all night. I like Peter's suggestion, I like his thought. Let's make a motion to go give the department heads a 1%. Find 1% in your budget and come back with us and show us what you've done. 1% might not sound like much, but could make a big difference in the long run.
I prefer doing that rather than just picking.
Yeah, we
random
could sit here
things
all
out.
night, I mean, give it back to them, let them do their homework, they know the budget as well as we do, probably better, and they can find the 1%.
What's that, that make a big difference, Derek,
Yeah,
1%?
what is 1%?
So 1% of the town department's budget, so not getting into CIP, but just that top number. So it's $23 million, that'd be 231,000, which would be 6 or 7 cents on the tax rate.
Well, that pays for that 250 we ain't gonna have this year for the CRF.
Is 2% too much?
It's a $500,000, or over 200, over 400.
I guess where I'm getting at is when you look at these things, like Pete and I were saying that CIP is really the thing that's the most expensive
Yep.
increase, and that's always what it is. So I just would like us to have eyes on CIP projects to see if there's anything movable. And I think that you can ask them, but
Well, let them
Like-
make the decision to hit CIP. Maybe Adam can put a trailer, some of these small trailers out, another year or something like that, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, I mean, that's,
listen, I'm not opposed to asking, but what I'm saying is when you look at the schedule for the next to 2029, they're all kind of like this. Like we all have, all of the CIP projects are like that moving on. I'm not opposed to asking. I'm not, not sure if they'll find targets because a lot of this is in these things that they don't necessarily have control over. But I do think we should have eyes on CIP, seeing as how that is the most.
CIP always gets attacked when you got time to do a budget.
Right, so I think it's important
I
that
remember when we
we look at that.
went back and cut the road plan, that was horrible to move.
So you're suggesting let the CIP committee make some recommendations to cut out, or?
No, no, I'm certainly not, but
That CIP's
I'm,
already been gone through planning boards, can't do that.
right. I'm saying that because this has the most movement of things that department heads have control over, that us as the board should have eyes on knowing what these projects is and the ability to have them move year over year before we ask them that question.
Okay.
I would just remind us that, remember, in years past, when we push something out, we end up getting bit because we're adding something years out and we can't predict the future, so we don't know what we could have come up, so. I mean, that's a double-edged sword, Kelly, and as far as I'm concerned, you know.
I'm not proposing we move anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to
But-
clarify. Derek, can you just confirm on, I'm sorry, I'm on page 4 of the CIP matrix for the Grassmere Town Hall 88 elevator addition,
Yes.
the 500,000, but some of that is offset with,
That 500,000
Grants, right?
is not in your budget.
Okay, just wanted to make
Because there is the Grassmere Town Hall Capital Reserve Fund. And if they were successful in getting a grant, they would come to you to ask you to accept and expend. And then because you're joint agents from the Capital Reserve Fund,
Right.
then you could pull from there.
also, just to confirm, this took the pool off, right? This number?
No, this includes the pool. This includes the design
Fine.
of the pool.
Okay,
Yeah.
just want to make
I was
sure.
gonna say, wait a minute, I thought we changed that last
The
meeting.
design.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure the
Yep.
number had it off.
Yeah, that's in there for 280, no,
No, it was
300.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
looking at the wrong line. 340, and then there was 80,000 for the sports complex parking lot.
And 200,000 CRF for the library?
Yes, that is, so that is under the, that would be under the special articles, but yes, we did put that in the department head, the library board of trustees did vote to request that, so yes. That is on, I guess, on this sheet here. So that, under special articles, you have $450,003. You have the $250 for the fire apparatus, $200 for library, and $1 each for the CBAs as placeholders.
And Derek, how much money do we have left from the Invest New Hampshire municipal grant?
$410,000.
You have to be careful how you use that though, right?
It was taken in by the state as replacing revenue, so it can be used for general governmental services. You do have later on in your packet this evening project lists from the different departments.
Oh, those weren't done, we didn't approve those yet?
No.
Okay, all right, okay. 'Cause
They,
it
we
didn't
gave it
add
back
up,
to them
so
to refine it a little bit, and then bring
I
it back.
thought you approved it at the time I wasn't here.
We did for,
For the
For the
developer.
developer.
Kelly, can we get back to my motion?
sure, did you make an official
I
motion?
made the officials that we bring it to the department head, the 1% cut in their budgets,
In their individual budgets?
Yeah.
Or overall?
in their individual budgets.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstain? Motion passes.
So we'll need to have a meeting next Monday because the budget does need to go to the budget committee on the 8th, so you will have to have a meeting next Monday.
All right. So on tab, oh, we don't have a 7A, but do we have new business, anyone? Okay, old business, we have the Invest New Hampshire Municipal Per Unit Grant. It's on tab 5D. No, I'm sorry. 7B.
7B?
Yes.
71 or
I
something.
got two 7Bs.
7B with a little 1.
Oh,
I guess two 7Bs here.
okay, so for the first one, we voted to give $210,000 to the developers for their affordable housing project. And that leaves us with a remainder, what did you just said it, and I just wrote it down.
I'll leave you with $420,000.
All right, $420,000. As of right now, we have $489,100 worth of projects.
So we're gonna cut 69,000 out of this. That be accurate?
Yeah. And $100.
More accurate.
Do we want to go through these again, or does anyone have any questions about a project specifically?
Well, we gotta cut $69,000 out of this somewhere. I think that we start with Adam as DPW, and that's gonna be $110,000 to do that connection up there, Adam. Let's start with that.
That number was, I think, from our last new construction cost per foot, roughly with the amount of footage we need, and that was inflated by a bit to get it into $2024. I think you had talked about it last week, or last meeting that you discussed this, and I'd be in favor. We are going to take a pretty significant number of impact fees for roads from both the Bog Road development and the mill complex when those units start coming online. So I'm probably going to have to dip into most of my current impact fee balances anyway for my end of season stuff. But if the board wants to take that all the way off, we could have enough coming in to pretty much pay for that project.
And maybe part of the road plan too could go to it if you needed it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think you probably would, if you want to do one and done, you could move that one off. Save
Well,
everybody
thanks
else
for the
the coals.
suggestion.
All right.
Adam, that being said, so you had it on here for 110,000. Would some of that money towards it help, or you're confident that you'll have enough?
What do we have total for units? It's, well, I'm not gonna-
I think it's 88 on Bog and 90.
96 or 93, something
you
like
should be
that,
good.
so I
Okay.
think it's gonna be
Sounds
enough.
great.
So we'll remove the 110.
You wanna move the whole thing?
That would be my recommendation. Makes
Okay,
it easy on
okay, we'll
everybody.
do that.
Okay.
Thanks.
So can someone do quick math for me right now? 'Cause my math-
Just added about, or under about 30,000.
Okay. So, I mean, there's no time limit on these funds, right?
There are time limits on these funds. They must be expended, or they must have a contract to be expended by December 31st, 2024. Because again, these are
Oh, so you got a whole year.
These are from the U.S. Treasury, they're ARPA COVID funds, or local fiscal recovery funds.
So what I would like to do is approve the projects that were presented to us, because a lot of them don't fall within impact fees. And then we save that remainder for something like this to come up within the next year, if someone has something that we can do.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Are there other things on here that could be, impact fees could be used on in the future, like next year?
I don't believe so.
He went through
Really, I think the only one that's really an expansion of use that's really due to a new construction is
Sidewalk.
DPW's sidewalk project. The majority of the others are, replacing floor, paving, HVAC, those kind of items. And the one that I had put in for revenue collection office to have a build design to convert 2 offices, we don't have a town hall impact fee, so there's nothing really eligible for that, so.
So this 200,000 there, is that just for the design, or is that for the whole thing?
No, we think that would be for a design build for just converting the office where I currently am and Catherine is across from land use to convert those into a revenue collection office. And then we'd have to work on moving people around after that.
So you could technically put that other 40,000 in there, or 50, right,
Potentially, yes.
potentially. See how that works. Make a motion that we approve this minus the $110,000, leaving a balance of approximately 40,000.
Second.
Motion by Peter, seconded by Mark. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstain? Okay, motion passes. Rick's gonna be so happy.
Anybody
AC.
that goes into those meetings
all
are
that
gonna be
matters.
happy.
Been talking about that AC forever. Okay. Next up, we have the remote work policy.
So I don't have a red line for you yet, but the board had asked for this to be added to the action matrix, and I do have a copy for you to peruse, to go through.
Where's that at?
Tab 7B, double I.
7B double I.
I guess if there were specific changes that the board wanted, that would be helpful. Otherwise, we'd be kind of looking at what the state has for some potential changes going forward to you.
So-
I recommend that we get to look through this and then bring it back next Monday.
Sure, we can do that. If I remember correctly, the biggest things were the supervisor determining the acceptable work hours, and the increased IT functionality of Teams gives us more ability to see when people are active.
Well, I think it was thought that at the time that there was a possibility that we were gonna have somebody that we liked was gonna be able to work remotely from, was it Portsmouth or Portland or something?
Yeah, that was very specific, yeah.
That's what prompted to bring this back out to the open.
Okay, so you need more time to review?
Well, we just got it, I didn't really get a chance to look at this. We're looking at all the other stuff. Is there any problem with security on that, working from home?
No, they have, I won't say there's no problem with it, but they are mitigating the risks through doing the VPN and some of the different strategies. And at some point, we could maybe have IT come in and talk about what some of those strategies are.
And they also wouldn't have access to most things without the VPN, if I'm correct.
Next.
Jim, do you have any questions on the policy? Good. Okay, the action matrix. No update on the police station or the village pedestrian bridge.
No.
The stipends. Just did the Invest New Hampshire Municipal per unit. Remote work policy, we're gonna keep that on there for next meeting. Any update on LCHIP? I know it's still,
They asked for
November,
their
right?
very final submittal on Friday, and then they asked for somebody to call on November 8th. So it sounds like they'll be making decisions in a week and a half, and will notify us at that time.
great. Okay, does anybody have anything to add? At this time, we'll open it up for our second non-public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to speak for non-public comment, or public comment? I always do that right at the end. It's seeing none, we'll close public comment.
Motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A:32.
And you would be going in under A, compensation.
A, compensation.
I'll second Peter's motion.
Okay, motion by Peter, seconded by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
That's a roll call.
Sorry.
Yes.
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 And this will conclude the public portion of tonight's meeting.